let's talk to Adam Walker. He's a lawyer and a Muslim from Ilkley. You're also the spokesperson for the northern region of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association. What exactly is that, Adam?
It's a youth association that works throughout the northeast of England and Yorkshire and the Pennines and across the UK as well. And it just does a lot to really help out communities and work with communities. A lot of charitable work, just anything really to try and make this country even greater than it is.
Okay, right. So as a lawyer, I want to get your take on this as a lawyer in just a moment, but I'm assuming your name's Adam Walker and you're a Muslim. Am I? And the right phrase is to call you a revert, isn't it? Is that correct?
No, I'm a born Muslim.
You're a born Muslim?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, what's your take as a Muslim man on this?
Well, I mean, I'm quite neutral about it, to be honest with you. I think I don't think that my religion should be. Not saying that it is, but I think in principle it shouldn't be this is right or that is wrong, a black or white. I think that a lot of things have to come down to common sense. And with regards to the veil, there are situations where the veil can be removed, even if someone has very, very firm conviction that they should wear it. They're allowed to remove it. Within that conviction, if there are compelling reasons.
So okay, common sense, and I think common sense is, well, it's the old thing about it not being that common. The health minister, Dan Poulter, says face coverings can be a barrier to good communication with patients. Someone goes into hospital, it's quite a stressful place anyway. Surely common sense is no one who's treating people should be wearing a veil.
Well, I don't think that is common sense. I think common sense is that legally, common sense should be that anything that we choose to do in such a formalised environment within the UK that has such wide impact should be evidenced. If there's clear evidence to show that having that somebody that wears a veil is, that's detrimental to the health of the person that they're treating, and it may well be in certain cases. I can imagine that someone that's terminally ill or children that are particularly ill might be detrimented by that, and there might be evidence to prove that a lady should remove her veil.
Why someone terminally ill? I get the children thing, but why terminally ill people?
Because perhaps I'm only postulating, but perhaps in that situation, seeing a person's facial expressions and seeing maybe the warmth that might be in a person's face may well add benefit to.
Doesn't that go for everybody who's in hospital, any patient?
Well, I mean, not really. I've been in hospital because my son had a bad tummy or I had a grazed knee. I've been in hospital because I had collapsed lungs. I mean, my emotional state was very, very different in the two. So I don't think that it would really stand that I needed exactly the same response in both situations.
So you don't think it's an issue for healthcare professionals to have to be wearing a veil?
Not at all. I've seen many, many doctors, and I've been in hospital, unfortunately, quite a lot throughout my life. And the thing that is, and I've never been seen by someone with a veil, and the thing which has always been key to me is, am I getting the right medical treatment? And unfortunately, very rarely, someone that's had a great smile and has come across very confidently has not really given me the best medical treatment. So you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, sure, but don't you think, Adam, the fact that you're a Muslim is something to do with that? The fact that you're possibly used to seeing people in veils, it's not something that's quite so unusual for you. That means you're more comfortable with it.
I wouldn't have said so. I mean, nobody in my family wears a face veil. I live in Ilkley. I don't think that there's been a Muslim family in Ilkley for many, many years.
My dad had a restaurant in Ilkley for a bit.
There certainly weren't any Muslims when I went to school here. So I don't really identify with being in an environment where I'm constantly seeing people that wear veils. If you go to Bradford, then fair enough. But I don't venture out to Bradford every day, so I wouldn't say that stands. And I would say that I've grown up in Great Britain. I'm a member of this society. I don't view things in such a way that I think that I'm that biased, and I would want for my next door neighbour who's a Christian the very best treatment. And if I felt they weren't getting it, then I care for them in such a way that I would go out to my utmost to try and secure them that treatment. So the veil for me wouldn't come into that. But if the government can evidence, and I agree completely, it's not a political issue, it's a professional issue. If they can evidence that it really impacts and hurts my or your treatment, then, I'm all for having a discussion.
Isn't the problem there? We're not going to get that kind of research because by its very nature, someone starts carrying out that research and we're going to claim that's Islamophobic or perhaps even racist. What we're going to have to rely on is actually anecdotal evidence. I've had a text from Simon Firth. You can text, by the way, it's 81333. Start your message with the word Leeds. Simon says, my mum is very deaf, so if a health professional wore one of these veils, she wouldn't hear anything or be able to read lips. They need to be banned everywhere. What's your take on that, Adam?
I mean, I don't really agree. I think that in that particular case, then the lady should remove her veil so that the gentleman's mother can be heard. I mean, I don't see why that requires a ban. Doesn't that require that a hospital should have a policy that with certain patients that require that you physically see the lips or they can't understand what you're saying, that they shouldn't wear the veil? I mean, do we need to infringe upon necessarily on a person's right in all aspects of their working life?
Do you think perhaps a blanket ban is actually using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut here?
Well, I think it is. I mean, is it necessary? I'm not here saying that anyone should have the right to do anything. I'm just here saying that, look, we all have a right to have freedom of religion. If it really impacts on someone's health, if a lady can't physically tell what someone's saying to them and they're in hospital, then that's a real problem. But if someone's got a grazed knee, it doesn't present the same problem, does it? So I think just common sense should prevail. And we can take that a step forward. We feel intimidated. For example, we're talking about communication, but let's talk about intimidation, because surely communication is there in order to make the other person feel more reassured. So some people might not feel reassured if the doctor has got an enormous beard or if he's got tattoos or lots of piercings. I wouldn't, be in favour of us just blanket banning anything which might inhibit, in a slight kind of way, someone's comfort zone when they're in hospital. I just think people should be treated to have the very best medical care. And if there are situations that are exceptions, then, let's talk about those and let's put policies in place to address those. But do we need to just blanket ban everything for everybody? And where does this lead to?
It's an interesting point. Well, let me ask you about that finally, Adam. You're as a lawyer, I wonder legally, as you say, we have the right to practice. We have the right to religious freedom. Legally, if the health minister is saying that he wants all of these veils to be banned in any healthcare professional, is there legally an issue there?
I mean, I'm sure that people could attempt to challenge that and take it all the way to European Court. But there are already 17 trusts that are doing it. I don't really think that people would necessarily succeed in on that route. But at the same time, I think that do we need to do that? People, if you've got a veil and someone can't hear what you're saying, or you've got children. A woman doesn't need to wear a veil in front of children anyway, or in front of women. So it's really in front of men that the issue is arising. So if someone genuinely is in a difficult situation and they need to see your face because they're going through a very, very difficult time, then fair enough. But
well, you say fair enough. You say fair enough, Adam, and clearly you're quite a reasonable man. What if we find people who are being quite intransigent and they refuse to take off their veils? Let's say there's a man there who needs to lip read and they're refusing to take off their veils. Then, common sense isn't really going to help there, is it? Because you have two polarized views.
Well, I think in that situation, a hospital can look at it just in the same that we do legally. You have an exception that arises, as with the lady in the court the other day with regards to the veil. It's discussed, a decision is then adopted within a hospital, for example, and then that's the decision that stands. At least that way, we get rid of those bad things or those things which are inappropriate, which that clearly is. But we keep the things which actually respect people's freedoms, and we remove the things which actually inhibit everyone else's freedoms.
Adam, it's great to speak to you. Adam Walker, lawyer and a Muslim from Ilkley. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks for your time.
To keep up to date with the latest videos from the Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association, subscribe to the MK UK Videos YouTube channel. Or, for more information about the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, log on to www.alislam.org.